Welcome back to My Hero Academia Overanalyzed. Today's episode is Season 1, Episode 5, What I Can Do For Now.
He took down those faux villains like an ace.
Despite being framed as a flashback, these Bakugo scenes are all completely new. Also, as pointed out by this commenter last time, the outfit Bakugo is wearing strikes a pretty good resemblance to his hero costume.
But at what cost? Did you see how badly he injured himself?
Holy shit, twice?!
The 7th place student had 0 villain points.
There's a pretty big difference between the dialogue in the anime compared to the manga here. Namely, there's a gag with, I assume, Present Mike saying that Izuku makes him go, yeah! As well as the first bit kind of having more of an announcer tone like a sports game rather than a casual conversation. Small omission from the manga, but Izuku's beach cleaning actually made the newspaper.
Seemed like fortuitous timing. An easy way to find someone new to inherit One for All.
What's interesting about this is that we know later on that the biggest person in consideration before Izuku was likely Mirio, but this line implies that All Might wanted to have more options on top of him. I wonder who of 1A or hell the other grades he would have gone with if it wasn't for Izuku. Honestly, I feel like Kirishima would be a pretty strong contender. I won't speculate too much here though.
You knew I was gonna get hurt that badly?
Well, we were in a time crunch, but it turned out alright.
Honestly, really interesting that All Might basically implies that he had the same struggles with the power as Izuku here, when we know that isn't the case. I like to think that All Might didn't want Izuku to worry about him being who was chosen here, so he just kind of did a little bit of a lie.
Look, it really is All Might.
No way!
How did he keep this a secret for as long as he did?
It's the first day and you're already disrespecting this academy by scuffing school property, you cretin!
I feel like this scene and the few after it are a much better introduction to Ida as a character than anything in the entrance exam was. Not only is it funny, but it sets up Ida's respect for the school he's in. It also shows how he responds to those that don't follow that. It also shows he's humble, admitting being mistaken about his idea of Izuku before and apologizing. This isn't his whole character, but this is a really good introduction to it.
Oh my gosh, it's that nice girl who talked to me. She looks...
Hard to make out, but she says, "So Present Mike was right, you did pass the practical exam." Anyways, outside of that, this interaction is really cute. I don't think I have much to add, but Izuku immediately trying to thank Ochako is really sweet. Alright, this is the scene I talked about during episode 1. This more grounded bullying, out of the teacher's sight, less actual power usage, I think is way better at showing what the dynamic between Bakugo and Izuku was before UA. This is way more compelling to me. If we had a scene like this, where after class Bakugo went to bully Izuku after the teacher had left, it would have been much more of an impactful establishment than what we got.
Kachan?
This is the very first time we see Izuku standing up to Bakugo, and we can see that immediate slight fear in Bakugo's eyes when it happens. This is a result of his inferiority complex finally having ground to stand on. Up until now, Izuku was exactly what he wanted him to be. Weak, quirkless, unlikely to follow him to UA, but here, Bakugo is seeing something more. Even without a quirk, the fact that he's willing to stand up to him scares Bakugo, even if it's only slightly.
It took 8 seconds before you all shut up. That's not gonna work. Time is precious.
Aizawa's introduction is also really good, but what's interesting is how this is how he intends to be seen. This isn't our introduction to Aizawa, the character. This is our introduction to Mr. Eraserhead, the teacher, a hard-ass, no-time-for-nothing, deadpan guy, and this scene gets that across really well. I think it's really clever to have the audience introduced to Aizawa pretty much the same way the students are. This allows our assumptions about him to evolve alongside the students, which makes for a lot of great moments later on where we see the semi-facade that he's putting on slowly peeled back to reveal more of the normal humanity behind him.
At 50 meters, I can only get up to 3rd gear.
Are gears ever referenced again in relation to his quirk? I don't think so, right? He's less of a car and more of just an engine. This could just be internal terminology he's using, but I don't think he mentions gears again from here on out.
I'll lighten up my clothes. Oh, and my shoes too.
Now this begs a question. In the future, she can affect the gravity of people when touching just their clothes. So is her power partially based off of the intent of what she wants to affect? Because otherwise it would just make the clothes on top of something weightless, which is kind of not that helpful. Easy to miss, but Ashido is actually skating on her acid here. She even took her shoes off to do it. She also uses acid as skates in the sports festival and beyond, so it's cool to see it all the way back here.
Shooting my beautiful beam for more than a second hurts my tummy.
Obviously this is huge setup for something way later down the road, but I'll talk about it more when there's more obvious examples for it. But yes, this is the first time it shows up.
My power has more uses than anyone else's in this school.
Well, I'm not sure I would agree as a whole. I mean, Momo can literally make anything. In these tests, I would actually agree. At the level the other students are at, I can't see someone being able to perform these specific tasks at a higher level than him. I don't really have a good time to bring this up because it's all over the chapter, but in the manga we see how Izuku's results compare to middle school, and it's cool seeing how he's just improved from his training, often scoring a good chunk higher in these tests. Also, everyone brings up this moment as evidence of bisexual Mineta, but here he calls Shoji sexy. It's been under our noses this whole time. Pretty obvious, but I like the detail of the clouds moving slightly and the sky getting a bit darker as the time skips here.
I won't let them down!
The subversion of Yusei Run here is really good. The cutoff, the split second of seeing Aizawa's eyes before Izuku's power doesn't activate. It's just a good way of building tension of Izuku potentially coming in last, as well as a good showcase of Aizawa's power. It's also kind of funny how often Yusei Run is used in this first season. Like, in the future it's saved for only, like, the hypest moments, but here it's like, yeah, put it on him throwing a softball, fuck it.
No, that's not what I was trying to do!
It's very funny seeing powers in their first uses because you can see what's changed about them. While the levitation aspect of Aizawa's claw stayed, he absolutely cannot pull a maneuver like this in the future. In fact, it seems to be a mistake in the adaption, as in the manga you can see that he's pulling it with his hands, rather than this telekinesis pull he does here in the anime.
No matter what your intentions are, you would be nothing more than a liability in battle.
While he's kind of being painted as the villain here, he's right. If Izuku used his power to punch the normal robots in the exam, he would have gotten maybe 10 points max before he was immobile. If he wasn't stricken by fear, he would have absolutely failed. And in a real crisis situation, a glass cannon would not be a good idea to have because it guarantees an extra person in the hospital regardless of how well the heroes do at rescuing people. So yes, Aizawa is spitting.
You have the same reckless passion as another overzealous hero I know.
Interesting how he's already able to see the parallels between him and All Might and be completely correct in that. Really shows how much of Izuku's ideals shine through during the entrance exam.
With your power, there's no way you can become a hero.
This may seem harsh, but keep in mind that to Aizawa, Izuku has had this power for 10 years. Every other person in the society with a quirk has had over a decade of experience at the point they come into UA. So to him, seeing Izuku break all of his limbs in the exam, he likely assumed that this power wasn't something that could be controlled, or that Izuku just didn't bother trying to control it. So even though he may seem very harsh from our perspective, as we know that he just got this power, to him he's simply stating the obvious. Izuku's ability to adapt to what Aizawa said to him is excellent, trying to prove that he isn't without improvement, while still having a strong deficit against him. Like Aizawa says later, it showed he had some promise to him, despite the fact that it still hurt him. This is also a really good way to evolve his power right now, limiting the unfiltered power to only a small portion of his body rather than just turning it all on. It keeps the weight of how powerful the quirk is, while also allowing Izuku to have more leeway to do things until he actually learns to control the output itself. The distance he throws is exactly 0.1 of a meter above Bakugo's earlier score. That must have hurt for Bakugo.
You propelled the ball, the last possible point of contact.
Yes, All Might, we know, we just saw. Probably should have saved this for the next episode, since the reason for the recap in the first place was because it was the beginning of the next chapter.
How did you go and get so cool?
And that's the episode. Definitely the least I've had to say about one so far, but that's just how these more low-key episodes go sometimes. Some pretty good character establishment for Ida and Aizawa here, as well as a good introduction to the school itself. The episode just doesn't quite hit the emotional highs that it maybe could have. I think if they played a little more into Izuku's doubt as the exam went on, it would have been nice. And while the exam provides a good introduction to some of the characters' powers, I feel like it spotlighting more of them would have been welcomed, especially those who don't have as many appearances in Season 1. But that's all for the episode. Next time is Rage, you damn nerd. Y'all up for a costume ranking? See you then.